Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Always Closing podcast. Today I got Alex Jasso with me from Prime Equity Mortgage. So thank you so much for coming in and doing the podcast with us. I got a lot of interesting questions for you today, and I'm excited to hear your take on a few things.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. So maybe for some people that may not know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, a little bit of your background.
Sure. So yeah, I'm Alex with Prime Equity Mortgage. I've been there for just under 2 years now. I actually started straight out of college. I was a junior at Cal Poly Pomona.
Okay.
And there's a private investor that I met through a friend of mine, actually. So at Cal Poly, they have a club, association, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Real estate association. I was the director of that club.
Nice.
And one of my friends actually knew Sam. Sam is a private investor. And he introduced me to him. I met Sam, and then Sam introduced me to Andrew. Andrew Quesada, he's the broker of our office.
Okay.
So met him, didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I was just kind of like, all right, yeah, it's in the finance industry, great. That's kind of what I want to get into.
Yeah. But
I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. But
are you still involved with the association at the college at all?
I want to do a presentation because that's one of the things that you do there is like you call up industry professionals and you say, hey, we have a club here at college. We would love for you to come by and just speak to the students. We think it'd be really good. I've been meaning to do it. I have not gotten a chance, but I do want to do it and like talk to the students there. I feel like it'd give them much more experience too.
Yeah, I mean, we've always like really been big on trying to work with people that are new in the industry, because I feel like a lot of places sometimes don't have patience for new people that are coming in, and like especially us here, like at escrow, sometimes it's like their first transaction, and they're kind of like, some people will be like, oh, like forgive me if I don't know like certain things, and it's like it's all right. We're here to hold your hand, walk you through it. But I think it's kind of cool to give back a little bit to the people coming in fresh once you've been in it for a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So that's why I was wondering if you were still involved with them. Yeah. But that's a good idea to do a training with them. So then you got thrown right into the office, right, with them?
Yeah, just thrown in. Yeah, trial by fire.
How did that go when you started with them?
You really start. Well, the way I started was. There's no like training at that office. Like it's a small broker shop. We're not like a big office like in multiple states. A lot of the loans that we do are here in California. Okay. We do some stuff out of state, but the majority of our stuff is here in California.
Okay.
So we just focus on talking to homeowners, talking to people that are renting, and just talk to them, see their scenario, hear them out, and if there's a way that we can help them or some type of program that can get them qualified, then we do what we can. But there's a element of sales that come with it, that you have to get someone to hear you out. And when you're calling people with that, like, hey, I'm Alex, Prime Equity Mortgage, how you doing today? It's like, oh, okay, it's a sales call.
Right.
So there's a way to do it. There's a way to talk to people. And you really have to get someone to hear you out. And at that point, I think you've like gotten your foot in the door, Right. You're able to talk to people and communicate with people about mortgage and about getting approved, about buying a house in general.
Yeah. So speaking on that, how did you feel when you started off with like the cold calling and the sales calls? Like, did that take a while for you to kind of like maybe take a couple like punches at first?
Of course, yeah.
Because every time we bring people into our business here, we're always like getting them. You got to get on the phones. You just got to brush that stuff off. Yeah. But it takes a little bit of time, right? When you first start to kind of just get used to it. So how was that when you first started cold calling?
Yeah, no, the phone's heavy at first. The phone is very heavy. You're just like, oh man, I do want to call, but you just kind of have to do it. You're going to talk to people, and it may not go very smooth at first, but you keep doing it. You do it over and over and over, and if you can record yourself calling people, I think that really, really helps because you can focus on your tonality, how you speak to people, the words that you say. You can try to refine the amount of ums, the uhs. I say that all the time.
Right.
I really try to work on that, but I still do that a lot.
That's true because speaking of recording ourselves, when we first started this podcast and I did the first couple episodes, I would like watch it and I'd be like, dang, I say so much or I look around a lot or something, so you kind of, but I get what you're saying because you just get better if you record yourself and you can catch those things.
Yeah, you can refine it and then just get better every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like working at Prime Equity Mortgage? I know it's the first company, basically the only company you worked for, right? Is in this industry.
Yeah. So straight out of college, so I don't really have much experience like in a bigger office or a bigger mortgage broker shop, you know. So
Yeah.
I only have experience at like a smaller shop. So like your Chase Bank, your US Bank, your bigger retail spot. I have no experience, so I don't know how it is. But from what I hear, it's just more retail. It's a little more rules, more structure, I think. And here at a small local shop, you kind of have more flexibility with like, there's no set hours, you know.
Right.
You can go out, but the purpose of the job is to go out and get loans, you know, whether you're selling to first-time buyers or to investors, but you have to find your clientele somewhere.
That's good. So they kind of like let you do your own thing, but obviously the more time you put in, the more work you put in,
Right.
the more successful you'll be, right?
Exactly.
And that kind of goes for all different avenues of this industry, right? Whether you're a real estate agent or escrow or title or mortgage, it's kind of how it is, right? You got to
Right.
put the time in, you got to talk to more people. So, tell us a little bit about the programs that you guys have there. I was looking into the company, and it seems like you guys do a lot, right? Like you do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we do.
How has that been, learning all the different programs, and do you feel like you specialize in any of those?
It's hard to say that I specialize in a certain program. The people that I work with, it's very diverse. Like sometimes it's first-time buyers, and on the other side, it's like seasoned investors. They have 7 properties, and they're doing a DSCR cash out of state, you know?
Right.
And then sometimes it's like they're renting for $3,000, and it's like a full family, first-time buyer. They know nothing about real estate, and you're just gonna hold them by the hand throughout the entire process. So it really just depends on who you're talking to.
Right. Are any of those programs like more popular right now, just the way the market is with the rates kind of higher, or are you seeing people taking advantage of certain programs more often right now?
Yeah. You know what? It gets a lot of clicks and views, like the Cal HAFA programs, like the federal stuff. The federal programs, they're all over the news. They're like $100,000 being given out,
Yeah.
you know? Those are okay. The ones that are a raffle, I'm just not a big fan of. I think the Cal HAFA one, to be honest, I didn't really push it very much because it was a raffle. Like, they're not guaranteed to get anything.
Yeah.
You're going to get someone's hopes up to get X amount of money, and in the end, they may not even get it. I'd rather give someone...
And those have to be paid back anyways, right?
Yeah.
Just like
shared
zero
appreciation.
interest loans. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
And,
So
and those would go so fast too, right?
Right.
Because I remember it's happened a few times already, right? And every time it's like 3-4 days, it's gone.
Gone,
You know?
yeah.
So I get what you're saying. I mean, it would kind of suck to get someone's hopes up about it, and it's just like,
Right.
oh, sorry, you're 1,000 out of like 5 people they're gonna pick or whatever it was. You know?
Right.
But I saw another video where you were talking about city programs, right? And I was really interested in that because I almost never hear anybody talking about that.
Yeah.
And I've seen it a few times. Like I know Santa Ana has some good programs sometimes. But tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's something that people don't talk about enough. But I think it's really worth looking into.
Sure. So the city programs, their city programs are really good. I know Azusa has one. There's also county programs that also nobody talks about.
Okay.
I believe San Bernardino County has a program. It's not a program that's going to give you $100,000, but most of them are giving you like a discount for the closing costs or maybe a little bit of money towards the down payment.
Okay.
It really just depends on what bucket you fall into. Also, of course, what area you're looking into.
Right.
But none of those programs are going to give any money to someone with a credit score below, let's say 620. That's kind of like the medians you find for most of those programs.
Okay.
So if you do intend to look for any of those programs, you still want to have your income, your down payment, and your credit in place.
Most of those have some
place.
kind of like income cap though, right?
Right. And that's another thing I did want to touch on as well. Some of the programs, depending on which one you're looking at, is they'll have income limits. Okay. So they'll say, okay, we're going to give you the money for the down payment, but you cannot make above, I'm just making up a number here, but $80,000, right? And if you make above that, you don't qualify for the program, right? But if you make above that, you can't qualify to buy the house. So it's like, it's a catch-22, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
When I saw some of those programs, like, okay, you can't make this much, but how are you going to afford a house in that city then?
You're not going to get a loan, to even do that.
So have you seen any workarounds around that, or has that always kind of been a dead end that you kind of reach with those programs?
That's kind of been the case for the majority of them. Some of the ones, like the San Bernardino County one, that's a decent one where they don't have any income limits, but it's not a program where they're going to give you lots of money for the down payment. It's just a couple $1,000s for the closing costs.
Oh, okay.
Which, it's not a lot, but I mean, it helps.
It helps,
you know,
for sure.
especially for those first-time buyers who are like, every single dollar counts. And if they're looking into those programs, I would probably say try to lean more towards that than your Cal Halfa raffle. Hope for the best.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
What other tips do you have for maybe first-time home buyers that are looking to buy next year in 2025? I know the rates are changing, the market's changing a little bit. It seems like rates are being kind of stubborn, but they should be going down next year a little bit. So what are some tips that you have for first-time home buyers?
I would say if you're a first-time home buyer watching this, what you first need to do is call up. This is going to sound bad, but call a mortgage broker.
Yeah.
Before you call your agent, before you do anything, before you pay off any debt, call a mortgage broker, call your mortgage lender, see what you need to do. You need to get yourself in a place where you have the income, you have the assets, you have the down, or you have the credit. But there are things that you may need to do 3 months ago to get yourself ready now, right? So I would call up your lender, get a soft pre-approval just to see where you're at now and see what you need to do to be ready in 2 months, be ready in 6 months, wherever it may be, right?
That's a great tip.
That's probably my best tip that I would say.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people are kind of confused on what they should be doing. I mean, maybe this isn't a follow-up question on that, but like, for example, when I bought my house, I was so focused on paying everything off. Like, I just don't want to have no debt. But then I've heard like sometimes it doesn't really, that may not be the issue. It's more about the payments, right? Like how expensive are they? So what would you say is worth it? Like saving a bigger down payment or paying off debt? Or is it just really case by case?
So here's a mortgage hack for you guys at home, okay? If you're gonna buy a house and you're gonna do conventional financing, there's something called an LLPA, okay? It's a loan level pricing adjustment. If you put down 5% down, it sounds counterintuitive, but you're going to get a better interest rate as if you were to compared to if you were to put 20% down. Because the way the banks look at it is if you put 5% down, they're going to give you a better rate. There's less pricing adjustments if you put less money down. So let's just say, and I hear this a lot, I'm going to save up 20% down, I'm going to put a lot of money down, no PMI, and my payment's going to be much lower.
Right.
Okay, it's great. I'm not going to stop you if you want to do that, but I want to show you the difference in payment, and I want to show you the difference of the PMI. See how much exactly that is, because some banks, the PMI is not that expensive, and people think, oh, it's going to be like $400, $500. No way I'm paying that.
Yeah,
but if you really look at it, it's not that expensive. And what you can do is put the 5% down, right? Get the interest rate, and then at that point, once you are, I believe it's 6 months or 1 year down in your loan, it's seasoned 1 year, you can do what's called a loan recast, okay? The money that you were gonna put into that 20% down initially, you can apply that money directly towards the principal balance on your loan. So it does not have to go into the 20% down bracket where there's worse pricing hits, right? So that's one way you can do it. To avoid saving up 20% down, put the 5% down.
Now, when you do a recast, does that also take in consideration the value of the property to get, I guess, maybe to that 20%? If you want to drop off the PMI?
Yeah. So when they do a recast, all you're doing basically is, let's just say your house is worth $1 million.
Right.
You owe $500,000. You have $100,000, right? You're going to be applying that $100,000 towards your principal balance on that $500,000 loan. So your loan amount is just going to go down to $400,000, approximately, more or less.
Right.
That's it. The rate does not change. The term of the loan does not change, but you're getting a lower interest rate based off that new principal balance.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. I'm going to switch it over a little bit more to people that may be in our industry rather than just buyers looking for new mortgages. So I recently met you at an event in LA called the Los Angeles Real Estate Expo.
Yeah.
You've been doing that for a while, right? I saw, because it was our first time being there, being a vendor there. But it looks like you have been there at least for, we know it about a year now or so?
Yeah, about a year now, yeah.
And how do you see that event How's it worked out for you?
Mm-hmm.
And number two, what's your idea on just doing events and getting out there and hosting booths or sponsoring events like that?
Mm-hmm.
Has that been successful for you so far?
It's super, super important, especially if you're in this business where you need to meet people. If you're a new agent or you're a new lender or you're someone in the real estate industry where you're 1099, you have to be out there because you're not getting a W-2 where it's like, oh, well, doesn't matter what I do, I'm getting my check at the end of the month. Oh, no. Not in this business. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
You're going to go out there and you're going to do that stuff. You have to go to those events. You have got to meet people. You've got to go out there and get people's business cards and give your card out, give your flyers out. That is how you, in my opinion, do well in this industry. You're going to meet people. It's a people business.
Yeah.
It is most definitely a people business.
Absolutely.
And that expo is a lot of people. And you have a lot of opportunities to talk to people, hear people out. And especially if you're doing mortgage and you're at a real estate expo, everyone there has questions regarding mortgage. Whether they're like a first-time buyer or they already have a property, maybe they're thinking about pulling money out, maybe they have a 2% rate on their house and they're trying to find a way to take the equity out, maybe they just bought a property with hard money and now they're trying to get out of that hard money loan. There's so many different scenarios that I come across at that event. It's very, very valuable. I will not stop attending that event. Yeah, free.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and the cool thing, like you just mentioned, is it's free to the public, right?
Right,
Anybody
yeah.
can show up to that, So that's called the Los Angeles Real Estate Expo, and they do it once a month, right?
Right, once a month, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm surprised because this first one that we went to, I was like, oh, wow, it's pretty good turnout. There's a lot of people here. But everybody that was there, like the other vendors, were telling me, like, oh, this one's slow. Usually it's a lot more people than we see today. But I don't know if it's because of the holidays or what it is. But I was like, wow, I mean, if the next ones are going to be even better, I mean, I would imagine maybe January could be even better because people are like ready to go back to work. Right. You know, like, you know, a lot of people in this industry take December off. You know, at least now it's starting to go a little quiet, but that's normal for this industry. But yeah, we'll see how January turns out. Do you do any other events that you've seen that have been successful or that maybe you might recommend other people to get involved with? Yeah,
I think the one in Culver City, the one that you're talking about, that one's probably the biggest event that I go to. That one probably has about 100, maybe 150 people that show up on a good month.
Yeah.
There's some other events in San Gabriel Valley that are good. ITI has a really good one over there, and actually they have multiple cities that they do their networking events in, but ITI is good. I'll plug my stuff. We have an event, Res Covina. That's also pretty good. I like doing that. Smaller turnout. Greater LA RIA. Yeah, Greater LA RIA. That's what we're called. Yeah.
Cool. How often do you guys do that?
Sorry.
How often do you guys do that?
Once a month as well. Every third Thursday of every month we do it.
Let me know. I want to go check out the next one. One I would recommend to you that we always do is the Reimagine conference. Did you hear about that? Or
that sounds familiar. I've never.
It's actually thrown by the California Association of Realtors. So it's a huge conference. They move it around. I think next year they're actually going to be in San Diego. But I think the last 3 years they've been around here. I think they've done LA. Then it was Anaheim, and then this year was in Long Beach, and then I think next year is going to be down in San Diego. I don't know if they've done it ever up north, because every year we've done it, it's been either here around LA or Orange County, or San Diego. So next year is going to be back down in San Diego, but we've done the San Diego one, and we've got business up here because, so, it's the real estate association for the whole state, so people are from everywhere that come down, and it's like a 3-day thing. Oh, wow. You're literally seeing thousands of people within a couple of days.
Wow.
So it's a little on the pricey side, but I think it's definitely worth it. I mean, every year we've done it, we've came out with clients that we do business with till this day. So definitely worth checking out. And if you're a realtor, just education wise, I mean, I think they have like 2-3 days of classes and stuff going on. So it's a really big conference, but it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
How do you? What's your strategy with social media? Do you shoot a lot of content? Are you trying to shoot more content? I noticed like your page is kind of like a mix of personal and business, which I actually like that. I mean, I know some people recommend not to do that, but I feel like I feel like you get to know people better that way,
Yeah. It's a good question, yeah. And I go back and forth too. Back when I first started, there was always a dilemma. I was talking about it with the other loan officers that I work with. Like, do I post everything on my main page, or do I just make a whole new business page and just do it all there?
Right.
I ended up choosing to use my personal page because I already have a following there. And I think it'd be a waste of, not a waste of time, but you already have people that you're connected with so far in your life, right?
Right.
And you want them to know that you do loan, that you do mortgage. So if they come across anybody, or even if them, past friends, past people that you've met, if they're in the market, or if they're about to buy a house, or if they're getting married and they're just looking at options, they're not doing anything just yet, but they do want to talk to someone who is in the industry just to give them different options. I think it's good,
Yeah.
I do need to do more content though, absolutely. I always put it off. I really do need to do it. More short form stuff, long form stuff like this, podcast settings is also really good. But yeah, I think staying consistent is the biggest thing.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I struggle with.
Yeah, we try to do that here too. I mean, I don't always get it, but I ask everybody, hey, I need 2 videos a week from everybody, just 2, because that's enough for us to post on our page, right? I mean, the way everybody throws in 2, but these podcasts really help because, if you plan on shooting some long form stuff, it doesn't all have to be long form because you can pull a lot of small clips out of it. So that's a quick little tip for anybody that's, needs ideas. I mean, just shoot more long form stuff because you'll get a bunch of clips out of it.
Yeah.
I could already get a bunch of sound bites and stuff that you said. I'm like, that's a good clip. That's a good clip, on stuff that you've been saying already. So
yeah, what's also good? I was talking about it with the other LL that I work with.
Yeah.
We're just talking back and forth, talking about loans, talking about different projects, talking about different clients that we have. And we're like, man, if we had just a camera recording right here, like hearing us talk, this is content.
For sure.
Like people would be interested in the stuff that we're talking about.
Absolutely.
It's not like dedicated, like put your camera up and like talk directly to the camera. But people, I think, would watch it because we're talking about live stuff, live clients, and like purchasing property, how to structure the loan. It's good stuff, and I think we need to start doing that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I say the same thing to people. Like, you don't need a studio. You don't need, sometimes you just need a camera, maybe a mic, so they can hear clearly,
Right.
But because it's really the substance of whatever you're talking about that's going to be interesting. It doesn't have to look so polished.
Right.
Like for example, for us here, sometimes, let's say if we run into some kind of obstacle, right, with the file, and we talk about okay, how could this person avoided this, or what could we have done different, or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, let's get in the studio, let's film a video on it, right? Because that's gonna be helpful to somebody. That's maybe somebody doesn't make the same mistake, or preventative stuff to not cause any delays, things like that.
Right.
But there's always stuff going on in an office that can be content. It could be useful content too, right?
Right.
So, where do you see the market going next year? I know, the last year. I mean, you've been in it about 2 years. You came in a rough patch.
I know, I did, yeah.
But
I missed the party.
I mean, I've been in it since 2006, 2007. So, I mean, I kind of came in at the same time. I came when it was really great. And then it was like, boom, got punched in the face in 2008, So, I've been through the ups and downs, but I mean, so I feel like I can weather the storm a little bit better. But how has it been for you the last 2 years, and where do you see it kind of going now that things are supposed to be looking brighter moving forward now?
Yeah, hopefully that's the message that we're getting. But yeah, when I first started, you don't really know the good part. Like the 2020, the 2021 where rates were at 2%, 3%. Yeah, everyone's telling me, hey man, you just missed the party. If you were here a year ago, you would have been selling 2% rates.
Yeah.
That deal would have worked. That deal would have worked. Oh, the one that you just turned down, that would have been a deal for sure. But I've never really experienced that. So when I first started, this is all I know. All I know is this industry, and all I know is this market, right? Selling your 5, 6, 7% rates, Right. So that's just what I got accustomed to, and that's just what I do. People have to buy a house, and people need shelter. They don't necessarily have to buy a house, but people, if they're in the position to purchase, they're going to purchase, right. Whether it be a 2% or a 13% rate, right?
Exactly.
It's just a matter of getting people pre-approved and like walking them through the process step by step by step.
Yeah, and you know the good thing is like I guess in a positive way to look at it is like I guess I can kind of compare it to like boxers, right? Like they'll be training and they train up in Big Bear where it's harder. So what happens when they get in the fight, right? It's a lot easier.
Right.
So if you're doing okay, at least right now, or good, hopefully good, imagine when rates start coming back down, you know, it's going to be, you're going to be super busy, right? So that's what I tell people too right now is if you can like do okay, you can survive, make a little bit of money. I mean, it's just going to get better from here on out, you know? So, and that's, I guess, the lesson that I've learned over the years with the ups and downs is, yeah, take advantage, obviously, when things are good, but save for those rainy days,
Of course, yeah.
you know, and kind of, because this market's always up and down, right?
Invest in real estate. I know it sounds redundant coming from me, but invest into real estate. I'm a huge believer. If you watch anybody, this is how I kind of got into it. I think YouTube is a game changer. Absolute game changer, because you're able to hear people, you're able to hear millionaires, billionaires speak about how this game, spitting your game, bam, bam, this is how I did it, you know, this is how I structured my loan. I did this, and this.
Right.
And it's like, you did not have that resource like a couple years back.
Limited knowledge, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be careful who you listen to sometimes too. Sure. But you do got a lot of really good creators online.
Right.
I mean, like, back in the day, I was always driving around listening to music, right? And now I feel like I'm like more podcast, more information. I mean, naturally we drive a lot, right, in this industry, appointments, stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like I catch myself listening to more information podcasts and constantly learning. You still got to throw some music on once in a while, but you know what I mean? But I was never like that before. I was always just music, right? And now there's so much good information there that you could always find something that you could learn something every single day.
Yeah.
So, so also looking at your profile, seems like you're a little bit of you like to travel a lot too, right?
I do, yeah.
And it seems like a lot of your stuff is outdoors type of thing. So have you always been like that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, back in high school, that was a big hobby of mine. I would do like long trips. Off-roading, I did that a lot. And then also just like solo trips, and then sometimes with friends. Just depends on where I'm going. If everyone's not available, it's all right, I'll just go by myself. Just go. And you get to meet people, get to meet the locals and stuff. You meet people there, you know.
Right.
And I feel like when you travel alone, like there's so much more flexibility and like what you can do. But if you're there with like 2 or 3 friends, and it's like, okay, guys, here's what do you guys want to do today? Or here's the plan. Do you want to stick to the plan, or you want to just kind of do this? Oh, this guy's got to go do that.
Yeah.
Oh, he wants to go there. Oh, okay, it's a whole thing, you know.
Right.
Oh, but if it's just you, it's just like you can do whatever you want.
I haven't done it too many times, but I've always thought about like it would be cool just to get away for a month and just do my own thing and just kind of just see what you run into, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I travel quite a bit too, but I have a big group of friends that we travel together, but we're always like 10 deep. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's like, all right, like we're gonna go do this. We gotta let everybody know 4 hours ahead of time because 10 people need to get ready. You know?
Right.
You have any trips coming up? Anything you have planned?
You know, I actually just missed a trip. Some buddies of mine are going to Mexico. I couldn't go right now. When you get busy, it's hard to just like, all right, guys, taking off.
Yeah.
Later, all the realtors that I work with that are depending on me, I'm gonna go take off and have a vacation. You know, especially right now when like every deal counts, every single one counts, and like the agents are like, hey, this is my 1 or 2 deals that I'm doing this year. Like, I really need this thing to close. Like, can I count on you?
Right.
Like, no, absolutely. Done. Let's go. Let's do it.
Like, I'm not leaving right now, right?
Yeah, and it's hard to do that when you're on the beach in Mexico. What? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, like for me, like sometimes even if it's slow, right? And I'm like, I'm going on vacation. The minute I get on vacation, hey, I need this, or all these things start coming in. I was like, man, I need to go on vacation more often, like start getting some more deals. Yeah. That's funny, yeah. And I also saw that you're into golf. Do you play a lot or something that you just kind of do for fun?
Just for fun, yeah. I'm not too competitive into it. I have a buddy that has it's a business, right? And he does like it's like mobile golf, right? He'll have like a thing, then he'll put up like a big old net. You just like hit it into it, and you can kind of practice.
It has like the screen where
yeah,
oh,
like virtual. Yeah, that's his business. That's what he does. So
he does that for like events or?
Yeah, events, and then I don't know, some other stuff. But yeah, events mainly. He'll go there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever play actually play rounds too, or?
Does Top Golf count?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it counts. I mean, I play quite a bit too. So I mean,
Okay.
I just started kind of getting back into it because before, when I wasn't as busy, we'd play like twice a week. But I mean, to play 18 holes takes 4 or 5 hours sometimes.
Really? Oh wow, I don't know. It takes.
It takes a while. Yeah.
Okay.
So sometimes it's hard to have time for that nowadays. But yeah, the last couple of weeks, I just recently started getting back into it and trying to play like at least once a week, and it's been fun. So. I mean, when you're up to it, I'll invite you on a round and come play with us.
Absolutely.
What are 3 tips to get more business in 2025?
Am I speaking to a realtor or to a lender? Or
either one.
In general?
Either one. I mean, I feel like in this industry, it kind of applies to both, right?
Yeah, you're probably right.
I'm putting you on the spot, so just whatever 3 come up to come up.
All right. 3 tips to get more business if you're a realtor or you're a lender. Number 1, marketing. You could be the best lender or the best agent, but if nobody knows who you are, you're not going to get business. You need to be out there on social media, out there talking to people, marketing. Get out there. Number 2, I think talking, I guess this kind of ties into marketing, but talking to more people. You need to be talking to a lot of people if you're going to be in this business. How this business works, from what I found, is like you talk to 50 people in one day, right? Maybe half of those people are like actually qualified and they're not tie kickers, who are like aren't qualified, no income, no credit, whatever, right?
Right.
Half of them actually are qualified. And then a portion of that are people that are like, you know what, let's do it now. Let's just look at options and let's move forward.
Right.
There's really nothing holding me back. But you got to talk to that many people to get that amount of people that are actually going to transact within the next 3 to 6 months.
Exactly.
Because as a realtor, as a lender, if you're new in this business, you can only survive so much or so many months without like closing a deal,
right.
So yeah, talking to a lot of people. Because if you only talk to 25, you may only get 1 or 2, if any.
Do you have like a goal of how many like people you try to talk to a day? Or is it just kind of let me get as many as I can with the time I have?
I know I should. It should be tracked.
Yeah.
I definitely should track it of how many people I talk to, and I can track my progression and see what days that I did not do as well, and what days I'm like, okay, whatever I did that day, I made a lot of calls. I need to do more of that. Right. What time did I wake up? What time did I go to sleep? How many deals did I have in the pipeline at that point in time?
Right.
But yeah, I don't track it. I do everything that I can every single day. Make my calls, do my rounds, and it's worked out pretty well so far.
Yeah. So just keep doing what you're doing then, right? A little bit more of the same for next year. Any last words that you have? Any maybe tips for somebody out there that's watching this and either A, is looking to buy a home next year or refinance, and B, maybe people that are in our industry, maybe that are struggling or new? Any tips, any final last words?
I'm going to talk about refinancing because I've been saying this a lot actually recently. The market's like this right now with the rates, like this. It spikes up, sometimes it goes down.
Right.
So if you plan to do a refinance any point in time, maybe you bought your house FHA a year ago or 6 months ago, and you're like, hey, I bought at a 6 or 7% rate. As soon as the rates come down a little bit and it makes sense, I want to do a refinance or a no-cost refinance, right? Get your file into your lender and have them do basically you can have the file already in with the bank. So you'll have it there. You're not doing anything. You're not sending any documents. You're not moving forward with it, but you're able to do a instant lock the second the rates come down. Because if you wait and you just say, well, when the rates come down, at that point, I'll get my W-2s, my pay stubs, my ID, then I'll send it to my lender.
Right.
At that point, you might be too late. It's moving like this, fast, very, very fast. So get over your items to your lender, have them be on standby for that lock to do the refinance. So that
now, let's say if you lock a rate, right? Mm-hmm. But what if the opposite effect happens? What if it goes down even more? Mm-hmm. Can you just get the new rate, right?
Sure. So depending on what banks you use. I'm a broker, so I have access to the bigger banks. Sometimes it's smaller banks. But we're able to do what's called a renegotiation on that lock. So sometimes, not every single time, but sometimes you're able to, let's just say you locked at 6% flat, right?
Yeah.
But the market rate for that same product at that same credit score, everything the same, is now 5.875, right? You might be able to do a price renegotiation with the lender and get that lower rate, but it really just depends.
Depends bank by bank.
Right, bank by bank, exactly.
Awesome. If someone wants to get a hold of you, they want to get the process started, or they have questions, where's the best place so they can reach you at?
Email, or if you want to call me, that's absolutely fine. Call me at 626-922-4410. I can get you a free quote. If it's a refinance, I'll get you a quote on it, see if it makes sense. A lot of times, some of our smaller banks, and even actually some of our bigger banks, they'll do promos. So on top of if the rates are like this, and you catch me at a point where it's like that, the banks do temporary promos where they'll give you 50 basis points or 80 basis points of a discount on that refinance. So now it makes even more sense because now it's even lower.
Right.
So call me, see if it makes sense. We might have a bank that's doing a temporary promo, and I can quote you out on that, see if it makes sense, and we can proceed from there. If it's a purchase and you just want to go over options, I can let you know what you need to work on. If anything, if you're good to go, I'll get you your letter. And sometimes it's not necessarily a loan level question. Sometimes it's like, hey, I'm really looking for a property in this area or this area, and I need a trusted realtor in that area that's going to show me the off-market stuff, the pocket listings, the stuff that hits the market, but like ASAP, not that when it's like 5 days on the market and now I'm in a bidding war. You know, I need someone that's going to send me the property like ASAP, fast.
Yeah.
We know we work with a lot of realtors, a lot of agents in different areas. So if you tell me, hey, I really want a property in West Covina, or hey, I really want a property in the Fontana area in this pocket, I have an agent that works in that area who can get you set up with a search. I'll get you with the pre-approval letter. You get set up with the agent, and now you're ready. Now you're shopping.
Yeah. And like you said, I mean, even if it's 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road, even maybe a year down the road, I think the sooner they talk to you, the sooner you can help them put a plan in place, right? So they can really get to where they want to be in the timeline that they're looking at.
You fail to plan, you plan to fail, as they say.
There you go. Well, thank you everyone that tuned into this episode. And Alex, thanks again so much for doing the podcast today.
Of course.